Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Soul Purpose Leaders Interview. Today, I have an amazing guest. But before we go, I would love to welcome to the new people, whoever's listening or watching this. Why Soul Purpose Leaders? Because the pandemic happened. And when the pandemic happened, everyone had to hide. They had to isolate. And that it was very intense for some people that they had to be alone. And mental health was in a rise. Abuse was in the rise. Everything that you could think of that wasn't good for humankind was on the rise. And so what happened is that I created this platform to bring the leaders, to bring the people who actually gone through what might be that you are going through, or might be you already went through, and you're on the road of overcoming or road of becoming better or working on yourself. And this is where you'll meet all these people. Rather than going online one by one, you can come to this platform and see many. And that's the whole idea of it. Now, today, I have this amazing, beautiful lady. Her name is Collette, and she is a mother. She has 3 grandchildren, and she had suffered abuse, but guess what? She used that to become, she still is, to become a domestic abuse advisor. And on top of that, she actually qualified and became, oh, why still intense? She is a counselor, and she's doing amazing job. Now, I don't want to outshine her. I don't want to make it all about me talking about her. I want her to come here and so she can share about herself. So Collette, please join us. Tell us, who are you, Collette?
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Barke, for such a lovely introduction and welcome. And thank you to all who are listening today on this webinar. Who is Collette? Right. So Collette is of West Indian descent. Her parents originated from Jamaica. I will talk about them as I go on. But yes, so I'm an only child to my parents. However, I do have a stepbrother and stepsister who resides in Jamaica. So growing up, I grew up in what I would call a very toxic environment. As much as my parents were married, they married and divorced twice. There were issues within the marriage that they weren't weren't dealing with. There was a lot of verbal abuse, physical abuse. So I used to be in the middle of them trying to split them up whilst fighting. So my mother left the family home when I was about 14 and a half, 15, and that sort of spiraled me out. I became pregnant at the age of 15, having my first child at the age of 16. My mum did come back to the house, but again, it's sort of simmered out because their granddaughter was there, but obviously the issues were still around. They eventually divorced again. We had to move home. I moved to a particular area with then 2 children. I had 2 children after. Yeah, just working, trying to live life and what have you. Yeah, just do my thing. There was a particular partner of mine who was in and out of my life from teenage years. We sort of dated each other, then we sort of drifted off. But he I would say was the first love of my life. And again, when we came back around in our late teens, early 20s, he had changed. He was a bit of a player, but there was something about him that I was just drawn to. And again, throughout the decades of my life, this man was in and out. And each time he came back, the situation of our relationship became worse. To to the point that at one point he was selling drugs and what have you, the drugs he started to use, but there was a psychological abuse and what have you, which did have an impact on my children. How I came into domestic violence, I guess. I was working for a housing association at the time, which had a supported housing arm, and we was venturing out into like community-based support for women fleeing domestic violence. And I was quite curious about it, and started to manage the service, myself and two others. You know, sort of got more and more involved, and then managing a refuge and stuff like that, to the point that I started working with major domestic violence organisations during my working career, trained to be a domestic violence advisor. So that's working with high-risk cases of domestic abuse. And that was near enough 18, nearly 20 years of my working life, doing and supporting women and men fleeing domestic violence. And it was 2000 and latter part of 2016, 2017, where I was working at the time for victim support. I noticed that the majority of the people that were there were either training to be counsellors or counsellors. So I thought, oh, I wonder if this is a sign for me, because, sorry, during my journey of work and everything, I did do a course on counselling skills, and then was going on to do the diploma. But again, life got in the way and something had to give. And unfortunately, it had to be the course. But what was really nice, my supervisor at the time and my peers in the class said, Collette, make sure you come back, you know, make sure. That was in 2003. I went back to doing a degree in counselling, eventually in 2017. So yes, it was a long time. And during that journey, there was a lot of things, a lot of getting to know who I am, the character of, you know, my character, the things that triggered me, to then change over to then become a therapist, and using the skills that I used working with victims of domestic abuse. So I have a really a good understanding of their plight, but then to be able to give that therapeutic intervention of the impact, the fallout afterwards, you know, where a woman has decided to go or having to restart again. The practicalities can be done, but again, it's the mental, the emotional, the psychological stuff that is left, that's left untreated, with, for want of a better word. And then it's to having to do the healing, because sometimes women may go back and be repetitive in the cycle of attracting the same men. And I did that as well. So again, it's a way of empowerment, healing of self, understanding the red flags, I guess, to then, before going back into a new relationship, and not bringing the past into the present relationship, and making sure it's severed, and understanding where you're at, you're in yourself and in the new relationship. So that in a nutshell, because it's what it is. I've had 3 kids. I've now got 3 beautiful grandchildren. So I think I've evolved a lot.
Wow, that's a good one. That's really amazing. You put everything in one. Now, Collette,
Sorry.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're gonna go and dissect it. So that's the best thing of this. Now, you working in a domestic violence kind of unit or department that's giving advice, but then you're going through it yourself. How is that affected you?
I think I went through it before coming into working for domestic abuse. So I'd been through it. And then it's just like, oh my goodness. So I think, yeah, recognizing the traits, like, oh, I didn't realize that was domestic abuse. Certain things, you know, you didn't realize that would be abuse, financial abuse, stealing, gaslighting, all of these terminologies that we know now. At the time, for me, it seemed to be my norm, you know, wasn't right. I did question why, you know, why is he being like this with me? Why is he making me feel this way? But not realizing it was abuse. So I guess starting to work in the field, you know, I then recognized the traits, recognized what I went through. So there was more of a compassion, more of an understanding for the women who was going through, yeah, abuse.
It is indeed something that it can awaken a lot of things, especially if you're working with people who are going through domestic violence. Now,
Exactly.
for you to now understand, oh my goodness, that is domestic violence, that what I went through.
Mm,
But also you touched as in your childhood as well was a
mm,
toxic relationship. How has that
mm,
affected you when you wanted to be a counselor and you wanted to be a therapeutic in bringing into these affected human beings that kind of,
mm.
you know, humanity? But then what about you?
Yeah, I mean, during my training, obviously we were told that we had to have therapy, and just to give you some more context to my journey in becoming a therapist, I trained for 3 years, and during that time, both of my parents passed away. Yes, both of my parents.
Sorry to hear.
Um, my, yeah, thank you. My mum, I think she had some undiagnosed, I think she kept it to herself, some undiagnosed cancer issues. Um, we found out, gosh, she passed away December 29th, 2017. So I was in my first year of uni. Um, and basically her diagnosis was the July. So it was a really short space of time. She, yeah, it was a really short space of time. She was able to see my daughter get married and what have you. Um, but yeah, it was a very short space of time that she passed. So when I then I had my therapist from the time I started my course, and telling you that therapist worked with me through the trauma, and a lot of stuff came out about, because my mum, as much as, God bless her, as much as she was trying to be there for me, she was a very negative woman, a very dismissive, but very strong woman. Um, but for me as a daughter, it was a very difficult relationship. So again, having to go through therapy and to unpick all that, the guilt, the shame, the grief, and everything like this, really having that therapy really helped me unpick and understand where my mum was at. I think there was also some undiagnosed mental health or disorders because of the way that she used to be. And then my father dying at at the end of my third year. So it was a lot. So my therapist has gone through and is still going through with me in terms of the stuff that had, that I'd gone through during my studies, and going back in my life, going back into my childhood. So yeah.
I'm saying this because a lot of people who are going through domestic violence, sometimes I get clients who says to me, Barke, I'm fine. I'm doing good. I'm okay. And they don't see it. I can see it.
Mm,
I can feel it
mm,
when they do
mm,
come to me and they have underlying issues with the past. And what you said there about taking that problems or that way of living in an abuse situation and take
mm.
it to the next relationship. Can you talk to
Yes.
us about that area, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think in any relationship, you know, you want to present yourself in the best way for your new partner. But if you don't, if you've not cleared yourself or detoxified yourself from what is in the past, you'll be looking for the same kind of triggers, the same kind of things that your ex-partner used to do, or you may bring about such unconscious ways of being into the new relationship with your new partner. And then if it starts unraveling, there you go, he's just like the others. But it's about healing yourself. It's so important, understanding yourself, from where you've come from, um, and giving yourself the freedom and the permission to heal. Um, Sometimes, and hopefully I'm not sounding disparaging, but I know I've experienced it. Is sometimes you feel you could heal be with someone else, and it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. You've got to stand first. You need to look at yourself, heal yourself, love yourself first. And if you need the self-care, if you need to go to therapy, if you need to go into like self-help support groups or emancipation circles to heal, do that before you're venturing into another relationship, because you know it could unravel.
Where you just said there, okay, what you just said there, it just, I feel like I wanted to stop you in a way that
Mm,
I wanted to make it so people can hear it even more.
mm,
A
yeah.
lot of women, I've especially African women that I've you know, I've been blessed to meet and to have,
Mm,
you know, in the immediate
mm,
surrounding me. Most of them, they would say, no, 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 go to another relationship. It will heal. You'll be better. You know what I mean? But it's not, because I
mm,
watched them. I watched some of them, like one, maybe 10. They would be okay because they will get used to the new environment and they will be
mm,
fine. But most of the time, no. They will look for problems. They will actually be on guard. They will be actually looking for that tip for a person to turn. Oh my God, I told you this. And
yes,
it's not.
yes,
Sometimes you make that relationship go wrong because you are the person even though, yes, it did happen to you,
yes,
but
yes,
it doesn't mean every man out there is against you or wanting to harm you. It doesn't
exactly.
mean. So this is the key for us women to actually say that. I'm
Mm,
sorry, you've gone through all of this, especially
mm,
domestic violence, and
mm,
you most of the time women were denial. They're in
mm,
denial. They don't want to
mm,
hear it. No,
mm,
no, 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 no. I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything is okay. It's all the past is gone. No, it's
mm.
not gone if you don't look up.
It's not, if you've not really unpicked it and look at it, and you want to be the best self, and especially for women. And I'm telling you, I speak as a mother who's gone through domestic abuse, the impact that it has on the children. You know, they may have self-esteem issues, they may then have issues in about relationship and connecting and engaging with the opposite sex, or even in same sex, let's get real, same sex relationships. So again, it's about knowing you, healing thyself, before entering into another relationship. So again, working on the red flags, you know, and the sort of like the, the type of man that you want to be in your life, what you will stand for, what you won't stand for, and really get grounded in that. I think we as women need to be comfortable being by ourselves first. And does that make sense, Barke?
It makes
Being
sense for
in
me.
love with yourself first,
It makes sense
ground
for me,
yourself.
but not a lot of
Right.
women.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
Some
sense to a lot of
women,
women. What
yeah,
do you mean I have to be by myself? I cannot be by
right.
myself.
Being by yourself is to appreciating yourself, valuing yourself, working on yourself, educating yourself, nourishing yourself with great affirmations um, and books and things that will really edify you, you know, and to make yourself stronger mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You know, we try to be the best we can as a woman, as a human being, and to be able to be in a relationship with another human being that has flaws as well. We, you know, we can't fix the other person. There's no way. The only responsibility you have is for yourself. Each person in their respective partnerships or relationships, you're responsible for your own actions and how you are to your spouse, to your significant other. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, it does. It does, my darling. I just want to emphasize on those areas because a lot of women, we sometimes find it hard to actually
Yeah.
know, why do I have to be by myself?
Mm,
Why do I
mm,
have to work on myself? These things should just come out
right.
naturally. This thing, it should be okay. You know, it's done, it's past. I've already, that man is gone. You know what I mean? Or that
Mm,
past is done. So, but it does come up. It does show up
yes.
again.
Yes, it
And
does.
this is where, now for you as a counselor, you know what I mean? When women or a person comes to you who gone
Mm,
through domestic violence
mm.
and they are not, maybe they're just feeling like, I don't feel like it affected me. Have you ever heard of that? Because I had it so much.
Yeah, they think, oh no, you know, I'm fine. I've got through the other side. But they may use coping strategies, be it substance misuse, alcohol. Um, they may have multiple, you know, relationships, or, you know, sometimes you go a bit crazy, like going out dating and dating. That's fine if that's what you want to do. That's fine. Um, Maybe sometimes it affects your eating, the overeating or undereating, and again, it's about social cues. How do you connect socially with other people? And sometimes the trust, it could be the trust element is out the window, or you become so guarded that you won't let anyone else in. So again, it is about working on yourselves, working on ourselves. And I think as African women, we do have this persona that we have to be strong, we battle on through and what have you. And maybe from some cultural aspects, it is about, well, there needs to be a man in the house. I respect that. But if that be the case, do work on yourself. Work on yourself as a better woman to be able to be for your family, for your husband, for your children, if that's what you need. But again, if for those who've come out of relationships quite recently, my advice would be to work on self. Give yourself that time. If it's a year, a couple of years, 6 months, do give yourself that time.
Now, you've touched also as an area where a lot of parents sometimes are blind to. Now, that is when it comes to children.
Mm,
We think sometimes we hide it from them, or we think that we haven't been too loud. They haven't noticed it. Can
mm.
you tell us, can you shine this place where children comes in and they're surrounded by domestic violence? What's the effect and what
If
these children going through?
okay, if I should have brought some statistics, but I mean, the child could feel abuse from in the womb. If we take it to the in the womb, studies and statistics have proven that women who have been physically abused whilst pregnant, that the fetus or the child, the unborn child, have had limbs broken or bruised, maybe some, you know, defects to the baby. Um, and again, if a pregnant woman is codependent on drugs or alcohol, especially drugs, the class A drugs, that the baby comes out as an addict and will have to go through the detox. So that's from the womb. And then there's children that may hear the fighting when they're upstairs in their bedrooms and they're too scared to come down. So that psychologically must do a lot to a child, hearing the thumps, the screams, things being pulled down, things being dropped, a person being dropped or kicked. They hear all those sounds, and that is fear. Fear psychologically will do something to that child. And also then there's the children that come in and intervene and try and stop the parents hitting each other. They could be hit in the process. You know, they could get cut, they could get hurt, they could get bruised. You know, I've not heard of any fatalities, but the cuts and the bruises that could happen, you know.
Now, can you also share what the other children who might not show that is affecting them? And if you look at them like in the eye, like, but deep down they are affected. Can you tell us
Yeah, I
more about
mean,
that?
sometimes you have children that may overachieve at school because school may be their only solace. So they're, you know, overachieving, maybe a bit quieter, um, anxious about returning home, may want to stay as late as they can at school. Um, Again, if children arrive late to school because for whatever reason mum's been drunk and what have you, can't get the children ready in time for school. The opposite could be that they start acting out, you know, sort of temper tantrums, that sort of thing. Very, very secretive and go about what's going. They don't play out. They don't go to friends' houses. Sometimes they may look a bit unkept. Yeah, those sort of elements you may see. Yeah.
So
Parents not coming to like parents' evenings and stuff like that, or their attendance at school may be kind of erratic or very, very low.
thank you. That's really we need to hear that because sometimes as parents, we don't see those things from our children and we just think it's normal, it's okay, but it's not. They are going through it. Can you tell us the effect that that child after, from what they've seen or what they've heard or what they've experienced through their childhood can actually transform to their adulthood?
It depends on the child, doesn't it? The child may grow up and may go on to lead really healthy lives and, you know, have really great, significant partners, or they could end up learnt behavior and then it's transgenerational, isn't it? What their mum's done with abusive partners, they too may enter into abusive relationships or codependent relationships where their substances may be used. So it depends on when the intervention of help and support comes into that family, and for the mum and the father, if they're so willing, to look at themselves, work on themselves, to be able to give nourishing and nurturing um, behavior and support to their children, because they're their future, isn't it, at the end of the day? And whatever we grow our child up will be the end result is what you will see. If we nurture well, we'll have a child that will grow up well. Yes, we know society will give, you know, sometimes will impact and affect, but it's what goes on in the home, what's effective in the home.
Now, you as a counselor, do you work in or what areas exactly are you working in? Like health departments or privately? Where?
Yeah, I do, well, I do, do a combination of a lot of things at the moment. So I do have private practice. I freelance for a domestic abuse service, currently doing counselling support to victims who have suffered domestic and sexual abuse. And I also work for a refuge as well, for women who have been sexually exploited and have problematic substance misuse. So yeah, so I'm freelancing also for for Black Minds Matter and another organization called Our Naked Truths, which is a feminist-based non-binary organisations giving and delivering therapeutic intervention for women.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that in a way that you just give out. It's like an octopus with so many hands. And
Yeah, that's what I feel like at the moment. That's what I feel like at the moment. But it's been very rewarding. I feel totally blessed right now, because sometimes I'm really thinking, you know, the all of what's happened in my life, all of the broken pieces of my life is not wasted. They've all been put back together with the glue of, you know, of my experience to be able to do what I do today. So I'm very, very grateful, extremely grateful.
we are grateful to actually have you here and talking to us. So I'm so happy with that. Now, my goodness, Collette, you've gone through yourself. You know how it feels. You went and become someone who other people they might see as a safety, as secure, and also feeling of it's okay. You are okay. Now, for everything that you're doing, Collette, what is one message you would like to share to a woman out there listening or watching this and they are in pain and they want to go and look for help? Where can they go and what is that message first?
I think the message I would say is this: for any woman who's experiencing domestic abuse, especially in this time, I would say make sure that you keep yourself safe first and foremost, by any means, because you know how you can make yourself safe. I don't want to dictate that to you, but there's a time where if you need additional support or help, please contact the National Domestic Violence Helpline. I will put the number, if I can remember it off the top of my head. It's 0800 2000 247, I think is the number. But again, I will leave that with Barke. There are organisations with women that look like us. There's Black women, African women that look like us, and there are specific African BAME groups, support groups for women like us. That should you need any support and advice, do go to them. That you could be linked to them. Sorry. Within some of the bigger major organizations, they do have counseling. So again, if you feel that you want the support and if they can access counseling for you, do take that on board. Sometimes they may not give you counseling until you're out of the relationship. But then again, there's the organizations I mentioned. There's Black Minds Matter, which gives provision of counseling to women, to people, not even women, but to people. I think it's 12 free sessions at the moment. I know there is a massive waiting list, but do go to them. Black Minds Matter. And also Our Naked Truth, that's for females only. And for those who are gay, lesbian, the LGBTQ community, do contact them. Our Naked Truths, okay? Again, they have a waiting list, but do access to see if you can get onto their waiting list. And of course, there is Mind. There's always a Mind in local authorities. Again, you can self-refer. They may have a waiting list as well, but again, you can access, I think it's about between 8 to 12 free sessions of therapy. And another thing I want to say is this: we, from the African community, the Black community, have struggled over the years with regards to accessing therapeutic services, either because we feel ashamed or you don't want people to know our business because we keep it within our community. Again, I would ask that you need to demystify that. This is a time, we're in a pandemic where we're sitting a lot with our thoughts and our emotions, and all that is bubbling up. It can seep out in all different ways. But again, you can seek counseling to talk along with somebody, that looks like you, to say, you know what, this is how I'm feeling, and to unpack it and unpick it. We may not have all the answers, but you know what, at least you've got someone to talk to outside of your family nucleus. So that's what I would say, is stay safe. For those in domestic abuse, first and foremost, contact the National Domestic Helpline. For those who need access to therapy, Black Minds Matter, Our Naked Truths, Mind in your local areas. Let's help each other to help yourselves. Yeah, that's my message.
I love that. Thank you so much for that message, and also those places they could actually start looking and
Yes.
putting themselves forward. Now,
Mhm.
a lot of women, we sometimes think that, we can take it. Sometimes we think that, maybe we deserve it, or maybe we done something that it started this. And we always look at ourselves as, it's my fault. I did that. Or maybe it is me. Yeah, I'm the
Mm.
problem. What
Mm.
would you say to a woman who's feeling or thinking this way?
Again, my sisters, I felt that. I thought, what did I do wrong in the relationship? Maybe it's me, if I did this, if I did that. But at the end of the day, remember, we've got to look at this as a power and control dynamic of one person over another. And if this individual keeps shifting the gatepost and shifting how things are, how else can you be? You cannot be your authentic self. So what I would say is, no, it's not you, not at all. It's about how they've made you become and made you feel. It's their insecurities, their ways of control to make you be less of a person that you are. So no, it's not your fault.
Thank you so
And
much.
again, that's why the therapy is important, to be able to extract that as well, to so you can see it isn't your fault, and why would it be your fault? So yes.
That is a good point. And it's something that we have to actually go through that therapy. We have to
Mm,
actually take ourselves to that place of being vulnerable, but also
yeah.
a place that we're open-minded. I've met women who says to me, Barke, why do I need to go to the therapy? Because most of the time they don't tell you anything. They just want to listen. And what they're listening is just me talking. That's it. I don't feel like they're helping me. What would you say to a woman like this?
Right. It may sound like that, but even in their listening, sometimes we just bring it back and package it back to you. And then you then have to listen. You have to hear what you've just said. And sometimes you don't hear what you say. Well, you don't. The words just come out. And when it's repackaged and given back to you, then you think, oh my goodness, I didn't look at it that way. I didn't realize it was like this, you know. So yes, it is. It is. Sometimes we just have to listen. For the first few sessions, we may have to listen, and yes, you may have to talk. But it's, again, sometimes experience shows that, and within my private practice, a person could be speaking for the whole hour, the whole 50 minutes, and they'll say, you know what, I feel much lighter since I've said what I've said. So at least sometimes some of the emotional burden on your shoulders is lifted, and you can walk out of that place or come off of Zoom feeling that much better, and a better understanding of where you're at, and the fact that you're truly being heard. And I think that's an important message.
That is indeed an important message, because some of the time, these women who are going through this, and men in some point, because it does
Mm,
affect men as well, is
yes.
that you don't feel heard in your own house. So that you are your voice matters. So when you actually talk to a therapy or counselor and you're feeling like, oh, once, someone is listening, someone is there with me. And that is the biggest thing. My dear Collette, it's been a pleasure really talking to you, and we can talk all day long, but I want you to come back. So I hope that you can make time for the future to come back and talk to us again, if that's okay.
Sure. That'd be lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Barke. It's been truly lovely. And thank you for entrusting me to be on your channel. And thank you to everybody that's been on and listened today. And I hope that it's been useful, and that know that you're not on your own. There are individuals, there are organizations out there to help you and to support you and to guide you.
Yes, they are. And people like us who wants the best for you. And
exactly. And I think it's so great that you've got these sort of platforms. It's really good because sometimes the major ones sometimes do not really bring it home down to our people, our African people. So I'm quite happy to come back as a panelist or in future endeavors to again promote services for our people. So thank you again for this opportunity, Barke. It's been a blessing.
You're welcome. This is why we do what we do. So thank you. And for everybody out there, if you have a question, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you come back and watch this, because this is why we're doing it, for you and to ensure your growth, but also you are living the best life. And that's the key here. Collette, would you like to give us one last word for us, please?
Well, the sun is out. As you can see, the sun is it's coming in really. All I will say is enjoy your weekend, stay safe, be safe, and support one another as best as we can during this time. Thank you.
Oh, before I forget, where do you like to hang around? We like to stalk people. So where do you like to be, in social media, or do you have like anything you want to leave behind for us?
Right. You can visit my website, which is www. I'm going to write it, and it's Quasia Counseling. So I'm going to write it for you.
Don't worry. I'm going to put it into the description. So just say it, and then I will put it down for everyone else.
Okay, so it's quasiacounseling.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram as, I think I'm Collette Alleyne. So you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, and LinkedIn. Yeah, those are my three. Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. Everyone else,
I think I'm more Instagram and LinkedIn. Facebook is kind of redundant, really. So yeah,
that's
Instagram
fine.
and
The
Facebook.
main thing, Instagram and LinkedIn. So that's
LinkedIn, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll put all that information for everyone on the description, so you don't have to go too far. It's there for you. And for everyone else, I just want to say thank you. And I cannot wait to see who's going to be next. Might be you. Watch out. Thank you. Thank you so much, and bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.